And good morning, everyone. Welcome to our live trading workshop. It is May 15, 2025, and it is exciting. Live trading is always one of the most exciting things that we do here because, we are all traders by heart. And finally, instead of just talking about indicators and theory and how things are supposed to work, today we're going to try to actually make them work in real life with a real money account. My name is Daniel Sinek, and I will be your host today. And I'm greeting you guys from northern Germany today. So I went up to see my folks here in northern Germany for a couple of days. I'm going to be heading back to Montreal next week. But, the life of a trader, you can trade from anywhere, which is a beautiful thing. It's freedom, which is so important for many of us. So living the dream here, and hopefully many of you will be able to live somewhat the same dream using perhaps our indicators or perhaps other tools, or perhaps our, suggestions, or perhaps looking at how we trade and maybe get some ideas and inspiration from it. Okay, so with this, and before we get started, let me ask you guys, and you can see we do have a really full room today, which is awesome. I think live trading is an exciting topic, so great. Who do we have today? So please put your location into the Q&A box. Who is joining us today? David from Frankfurt. Hi, David. Wie geht's? Nice to see you. Aubrey, yes, sunny Cyprus. Almost always sunny. Christian from Hamburg, not too far away from where I am. Great. Who else do we have? Please put your location into the Q&A. Ed from Virginia. Hey, Ed, how's it going? David from Australia. Wow, where in Australia, David? Is it Brisbane? I think we talked before. Maybe not. Dean from Phoenix. Hey, Dean, how's it going? Peter from California. Larry from Oregon. I've been to Oregon multiple times in my life, and most notably to Bend. Bend is the headquarters of Aspen Trading, and I've been visiting Dave Floyd, the head trader over there, a few times. Gene from the Philippines. Wow. All right. Hey, Gene, how's it going? And my neighbor, Frank from Den Haag, almost neighbor. Yeah, it's still, not too close, perhaps, I don't know, 400 kilometers maybe from where I am. Jim from New Jersey. Greetings to Rostock from Christian. Awesome. And Dennis. Chris from Northern California. David says Gold Coast. Okay, that's like Brisbane, no, in between Brisbane and Sydney, I would imagine. Larry from Maryland. Jared from Santa Fe. Sharon from New York. Rob from San Francisco. Larry says he's on the coast. Oh, good for you. I'm also actually on the coast here, but not the same kind of Gold Coast, but, coast nonetheless. Stephen from East Midlands, UK, from Lincoln. Thomas from Heiligenstadt, Germany, Jaroslav from Florida, and John from Austin, Texas. Oh boy, that was a long list. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Indeed, a very full house today. Awesome. Okay, so let's get into it. And just real quick, let me get back to my proper slides. I do need to remind you that trading, and especially day trading on leverage, does contain substantial risk, and therefore is not suited for every investor. If you trade, make sure to only use risk capital, which is money that you actually can afford to lose. When it comes to backtest performance or hypothetical performance, keep in mind that this is not necessarily indicative of future performance, and any trades and setups and strategies discussed in this webinar should not be construed as trade advice. These are for educational purposes only. All right, so a quick introduction. In the off chance that you don't know us yet, we are tradingindicators.com. My name is Daniel. I'm the guy here on the left-hand side, and together with Homa, we have created Trading Indicators from the ground up about 10 years ago. Yes, we are nearing our 10 years anniversary, and there will be a special for this coming up later on this year, so please look out for this. And then about halfway through our journey, Nicholas has joined us, and he's also in the room today. In fact, Nicholas will be sharing his charts today, and also execute the trades. All right, so most of what we do is based on technical analysis. And as you will see today, we like to keep things simple and to some degree logical. That's always been very important for me. Things just need to, they need to line up in my head. And if they do, I'm comfortable to take a trade or perhaps stay on the sidelines. And of course, this session is for you guys. So if you have any questions, please don't hold back. Put these questions into the Q&A box, and we're going to look at them as we proceed through this live trading session. And John is wondering, is this session recorded? Yes, absolutely. It's being recorded. I'm going to double check right now that this is actually the case. 1 second. Good point, John. Yeah, is it being recorded? Yeah, it's being recorded. Okay, good. Because we did have a hiccup in our live scanning session last weekend, which where the recording didn't work. So I want to make sure that this one will work. And of course, this one will be uploaded to our YouTube page shortly afterwards. And you should also receive an email with the recording afterwards, John. Okay, so a couple of ground rules for today. So first off, this is a limited time session. So it's about day trading. We only have about 90 to 120 minutes. So the only real thing we can do today is basically day trading, where we will try to open and potentially exit a trade within this session. We are going to primarily focus on futures, perhaps look at some stocks as well. But rest assured, the techniques and indicators and strategies discussed in this webinar, these are not only applicable for day trading, but also for longer time frames, for swing trading or even investing. Okay. Also, we will be using TradingView today as our trading platform, not because TradingView, outbeats every other platform. It's just the greatest common denominator. Most of you have used TradingView in one shape or form previously. You may have seen it. So this is just the easiest way to bring across our ideas with a platform which is most commonly known. Also, we will be taking live trades with our live money account hosted with Interactive Brokers. And but you should keep in mind that, even though we do a lot of day trading, if you join our Discord channel, you can see we are posting charts all the time of trades. This is something we do, but it is not so easy to do this while talking and hosting a webinar. So for this reason, please always keep this in mind that we may sometimes just, force trades just to be within a trade, and also prematurely close them out because we do have a limited time frame. If we were to trade freely, we perhaps would have be more patient on some trades, or perhaps let them run out a bit longer. So just keep this in mind. However, we are trying to make good trades today. Of course, this is real money, and we don't like losing money just like anybody else. Yeah. Okay, now with this, is every trade going to be a win or a winner? Hopefully, yes. And we've been quite successful in our prior live trading sessions, but there's no guarantee. Of course not. There's no such strategy which guarantees you a winner. Trading is risky. I just read you the disclaimer, so keep this in mind. However, we will be doing everything in our power to increase our odds to have winning trades, of course. Why wouldn't we, right? So we're going to do multi-time frame analysis. We're going to look at support and resistance. We're going to look at the story of the market. I'm going to talk about this in just a second. We're going to look at entry signals with great win rates using our Power Bundle AI, and so forth and so forth. And also, we're going to try to steer away from major market events where things get unpredictable. In trading, we'd like to have things as predictable as possible, if that's possible. So we don't want to gamble when it comes to trading. Okay, so with this, let me share with you for perhaps 10, maybe not even less, 5 minutes, what is going to be our approach today. So the first thing we will be doing today, I'm going to look at many different charts, is trying to figure out what is the current story of the market. And when I say market, what I mean by this is the story of the symbol we are looking at. This could be the NASDAQ futures or gold futures or crude oil futures or perhaps a stock. It doesn't matter. We're trying to figure out what is the story of that particular symbol. Okay. Now, while figuring out what the story is, we can keep it as complex or as simple as we want. This is up to you. This is up to your trading personality. I, for myself, and we for ourselves, I don't want to talk for Nicholas too much, but I believe we're pretty much aligned with this. We like to keep it fairly simple. Okay, so this fits our trading personality. This fits my trading personality. So what do I mean by this? By keeping it simple. All right, so first off, we heavily rely on our indicators. We love our indicators. They have been written to help us with our trading. So why wouldn't we use them? Okay, so this is one of our key principles. We let them do the heavy lifting. Okay, for example, they will help us to answer these 3 simple questions. First off, what is the trend? It's a very basic question, and perhaps the easiest one to answer for everyone. You don't really need, a super high-tech indicator for this. Many people can gauge, okay, what is the overall trend? Is it going down? Is it going up? But within each trend, there are variations. Even in a long-lasting uptrend, there are phases where it pulls back and we go short-term bearish or back to bullish and so forth and so forth. So we're going to use MA Rush for this. We're going to let MA Rush tell us, hey, are we currently rather bullish or bearish? That's question number one we're going to answer. Question number two is, where are the key levels? What levels are nearby? Where's price in relation to these levels? Are these support levels or are these resistance levels? And guess what? Of course, you may have guessed it already. This is where our liquidity IQ indicator comes in, which shows us directly on the price chart, as you know, where is the nearest resistance level, where's the support level, and we can infer things from those levels. Because we may anticipate, hey, price may bounce off from these levels in towards the middle in between resistance and support, as for example here, or perhaps here, or when a level is broken, for example, this support level here, we may anticipate a follow through in the direction of the breakout. So these levels are important. Third question. This one is perhaps the most complicated to answer with the naked eye, without any indicators. This question is, hey, where's the action? Where is at which price levels is the most volume traded, or are there any price levels where there's very little volume traded? And this is where our volume IQ indicator comes in, which shows us with these histogram bars here on the right-hand side of the price chart, where are high volume nodes, these ones here, or where are low volume nodes. And these have very interesting properties. One such property, for example, is that price likes to get stuck like molasses in these high volume nodes. It decelerates, it likes to hang out in these areas, it goes back and forth in these areas for quite some time. That's very strange. Whereas in these low volume nodes, price tends to accelerate, power through these ones very quickly. And this is one takeaway we can get from these volume profiles. Another one could be, for example, hey, what is the current buyers-sellers imbalance, if any? Are there more buyers in this area, or perhaps more sellers, like this reddish area here, or perhaps is it more or less neutral? Now, this is also important to know. And all these information we're going to use to form ours or to create our story about the market. So we're going to now put it all together. And now we're going to get to the live charts in just a second. So putting it all together, what, for example, could we infer from this chart? Just a little case study here. So first off, where's the trend? Well, we can see here it's bearish trend. Well, sorry, MA Rush shows us here a bearish signal. Now we are bearish. The sentiment is bearish. This tells us something. We also can see that, hey, there is a key support zone down here. Price nicely bounced off from this level. And there's a resistance zone forming right up here. You can see this label here, resistance zone, right at this price level. Okay, and now we're coming up towards this resistance level, and price slowed down. Where did it slow down? Exactly at this high volume node. And guess what? Just below this high volume node, look at this imbalance here. More sellers than buyers. So what would be the story of the market here? Well, I think you don't need to be a mathematician to figure this one out. It's probably a bearish story. Yeah, we had a nice pullback to this high volume node, resistance just above, which probably could prevent price from going any further than this level. And we have more sellers here. So our conclusion could be here, hey, let's go short. And this could be predicting basically the next chapter of this market. Let's go short. I think this makes sense. With a stop loss potentially just above this resistance level and our target just above this support zone. Why? Because prices may bounce off these levels towards the upside again, and we don't want to give away our profits. All right. So, but there's one more thing, and then we're going to bring it all full circle. Step number 4. Once we know what the story of the market is, once we have an idea of what we want to do, then we're going to wait for entry signals. And guess what? This is where our power bundle AI is coming in. A suite of indicators designed to give us optimized entry signals. So here's an example. Different chart, but what can we see here? Once again, we are bearish. We just broke support down here. Once support is broken, it will act as resistance, and price is coming back up towards this broken support level, now acting as resistance. So the idea here, once again, could be, hey, we're going short. We want to go short. Let's assume we're here at this price level. We want to go short. And guess what? Then we are getting a beautiful short entry signal here. You can see it here from our 1, 2, 3 strike AI indicator. Great. So this matches our story of the market. It matches of what we think the next chapter will be, where price will go further down. So we can then, as a fifth step, perhaps look at the statistics. what is the profit factor in the long and short direction? What is the win rate? And so forth and so forth. You can see here for the win rate, for example, we are at 100% for short trades. So really everything is lining up, and then we will execute the trade. Now, having this said, will we find these perfect setups in today's session? It's a limited time session. I don't know. I looked at the charts before. I have no idea whether we're going to see this perfect scenario. We may not. Still, we would like to execute some trades. So sometimes we have to short circuit some of these steps, but this would really be the ideal situation that we're striving for. And if you have more time in your trading, you can set up your alerts exactly for this way. To only trade those ideal setups where everything really comes together. All right, but now enough theory. Let's get to the charts. Let's look at what the live market is doing. And Niklas, please perhaps have a quick look first of whether there are any major news events coming up this morning.
All right. Sure thing. Yeah, hi. And should I share my screen?
Yes, please. And let me just enable this real quick. I'm also going to hide my face. So sorry, I was not hiding. I was thinking I was going to hide my face. I was muting myself instead, so now I'm going to hide my face, and you guys can fully focus on Niklas. Go for it.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, the first thing we're going to do, you should be able to see my screen in just a second. Perfect. Okay, so the first thing we do on TradingView before we trade, we suggest doing this every day, is click on the economic calendar in the bottom right here. There's a little icon, calendars. Once we click on that, we are then going to make sure we're sorting for the most important events, which is this little button right here, only high importance. And we can check, okay, what's coming today? And well, there were some numbers that already came out today, and which probably triggered some volatility in the markets, but there's nothing coming up. So at 8:30, there were retail sales month-over-month numbers and PPI numbers as well, but nothing coming up to impact any of our trades. And what we can do then is turn off only high importance and just double check there's nothing coming up around 10:30 that's going to affect us. Some smaller numbers, but some natural gas stocks, but nothing crazy for the futures we're going to be looking at. So I think we're all clear on that end.
Unless we're trading natural gas, of course.
Which
is always a possibility. Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is on every single one of these charts, like Daniel said, we have 3 different indicators open to start to get the story, which is MA Rush, Volume IQ, and Liquidity IQ. And in this tab, we're starting out looking at the 15-minute chart on various indices. So this is MNQ, this is the Dow, this is the E-mini Russell, and over here is actually M6B, which is the micro British pound USD. So to start, on the top left here on MNQ, scrolling out a little bit, we can see we are in a significant bullish move. So MA Rush started going bullish on the 8th of May, which was just under a week ago, or just a week ago, and it has not stopped being bullish since then. We are up around 1,200 points. And right now, if we zoom in here on this 15-minute chart, what's happening is price is basically trying to hold this major support level, or this important pivot, which is around 21,250, roughly, down here. And a tier 2 zone, which means there's a lot of liquidity and a lot of trading happening, has started to form above price, around 21,320. So looking based on Liquidity IQ, MA Rush, and Volume IQ, what we would see here is there's technically a bullish trend. Right now, though, price this morning tried to lose a local pivot. It tried to do a zone break right here and break down. It didn't happen. Price recovered, but it is having trouble crossing this tier 2 zone. There's a lot of people selling here. A lot of the market is selling at this level above price, which is why there's so much volume there, yet we're below that level. And right now, price has fallen down into this support zone, which is around 21,220 to 21,260. And we had what's called a liquidity capture, which means basically there was a lot of volume, but the level held up. Looking at Volume IQ, if we scroll out a little bit, I would also see that, hey, there's a huge low volume node right here. So if price does break this support level, there's really not a lot of traders or figures in the market stepping in with major liquidity here until we start to get down to this next liquidity level down here, which is when we start to eventually see a lot of market volume again. So I wouldn't be surprised if price broke this support level. It really crashed down quickly, but I think we're not going to go short biased on MNQ just yet because of that long-term uptrend. So what we would do now, and Daniel, let me know your thoughts. I'm just going to zoom in and let me make this one full screen so it's a little clearer. Is I really like MNQ here if we start to break above this tier 2 zone.
I agree. So if you get above this one, this could be a nice long trade. But this is not the case. And, we need to entertain the possibility that if we go below the support level, well, then we're looking at shorts, especially if you're getting below this pivot low there just before that, then I think we price may lose it. And, many people even say NQ and all the major indices, they are due for a correction after this very bullish couple of days that we had. So we have to always be aware of this. But yeah, we let the market decide. This is actually one of the easiest trades here. Let's see what happens. We're going to keep an eye on this one, see what price will do. Hopefully it's going to decide in one way or the other within this session. And then we'll take it from there.
Yes, exactly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm applying 1, 2, 3 strike. I'm going to go through the different power bundle indicators, but keep in mind here, right now it says 163 contracts here. I think I accidentally put in a super large number for the max risk. So let's do something more reasonable. Let's say if we're trying to risk $200.
Yeah, let's risk $10,000 today.
Yeah. On 1, 2, 3 strike, on the 15-minute chart, $200 is probably not even going to give a contract size. It's 0 usually, because the stop loss has to be far enough away for these statistics on this time frame that this is going to risk more than $200. So maybe let's hop over for signals to the 5-minute. And let's see what's happening. And also, yeah, it's important. We looked at the big picture 15-minute. Usually we trade the 15-minute or the 5-minute when day trading, but it's always good to zoom into another time frame to get a bigger picture. So here on the 5-minute, it actually looks really similar to the 15-minute. We can see the support level a little more in detail. Price came down. A lot of traders or a lot of liquidity just came in right now as price dropped into that zone. There's still that important tier 2 zone above price right here. MA Rush is bearish on the shorter term chart on the 5-minute. But I would definitely like to see some confirmation to the downside, losing that support before considering going short.
Of course, what you can also do, Nicholas, just a food for thought here is, as price comes perhaps back towards the support level, we could, play the long play. We see 1, 2, 3 strike has a long entry signal. We're still in that trade there. If we come down a little bit further, or also on the 5-minute time frame here, we could consider a long and exiting right at the zone of control, just a bit above, for a really short-term scalp, if that's a possibility too. We can keep an eye on. Right now, I wouldn't do it because price is still in the middle. But if it comes further back down, tests one more time the support level, for a really short-term scalp, this could be an option we can entertain as well.
Definitely. And 1, 2, 3 strike has very good profit factor, pretty good win rate. Divergence cloud is a similar story. Let me just check right here. Good profit factor, really good. Over 44 trades or 24 long trades, 62.5% win rates, and they're both long. They both got a stop loss around the same area. Yeah, that would have been a great idea to buy down there if price comes back into that zone. And since it depends how much we're looking to risk.
Trading is the easiest trading you can do.
Yes, yeah, and I think like you were saying, where we would put our stop loss might actually be under the support zone or the pivot instead of the indicator stops, but it is up to you if it's too far away or not. Okay, I'm just going to minimize this. So we're going to keep aware of this. I'm going to put an alert just so we can get in on that trade if it happens. So add alert. And
while Nicholas is putting this one, this is an alert for a potential long trade. And you may wonder, hey, shouldn't we do the same thing now for a potential short when price approaches this zone of control of volume IQ? In my opinion, not, because the market is overall bullish, and I really don't like to get against or go against the trend without extra confirmations. For this one, I probably would prefer to have this zone broken, the support zone, and then consider a short. So this is a long consideration right now for this trade.
Yes. Yeah, we would like to at least see some breaking and then see how it performs at this pivot.
Yeah.
And none of the indicators are short either. So maybe it would be nice to see something like that. And none of them have good profit factors on the short side right now because we're in such an upswing, I think. So let's check out M2K. So this is the E-mini Russell. I'm going to expand this. So the Russell is actually struggling a little bit more than MNQ. Usually the indices follow each other to some extent. So let's start on the
Even though the
15-minute
Russell has
charts.
had a mind of its own for the longest time. So even when back in the day when the ES and the NQ were making all-time highs, the Russell was, still being stuck in the soup, as the option professor would say. So this one, it's a bit different typically from the major indices, but I agree with you. Otherwise, NQES and also the Dow, oftentimes they trade very fairly correlated. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're a trader who likes less volatility and less risk, I think M2K and often MYM, the Dow Mini, is a nice alternative. The contract moves a little bit slower. MNQ is a lot more volatile and it's a more expensive contract. So M2K, let's have a look here on the 15-minute chart. So on the 15-minute chart for M2K, it's not even in MA Rush a bullish trend. It was bullish around the same time a week ago as MNQ when we started to move up, but it has sooner shifted bearish than MNQ. MNQ has not yet fully shifted bearish, but we do have a similar scenario here looking on the chart. Although we don't have a support level until all the way down here, unlike MNQ, we are up in a super high volume node. And if price loses the local low, there is not a lot of liquidity or historical liquidity to stop it from moving even lower. So
Yeah.
watching this,
What do
yes,
the indicators say for this one? Let's have a look for
sure.
the signals to
5 minute
see.
or 15 minute. I guess we can
Oh,
start with the 15.
yeah.
Okay, and if you
Let's
ever
have a
see this
look.
little red exclamation point here, calculation timed out. This can happen when the market's super volatile. Just hop into the indicator and click something, preferably check or uncheck to re-optimize. So if we click that, hopefully the calculation will succeed.
Yeah, TradingView does have limited resources, especially if many users are using it during the market open. And it can happen at times that the calculation will time out just because of the complexity of our indicators and the auto optimization process. But typically, this can be fixed very easily simply by just changing one setting to a different value and then switching it back. All right, so
Yes,
we are
and yeah,
bearish here, as I can see it as per MA Rush, confirming basically, not MA Rush, sorry, 1, 2, 3 strike, confirming basically the trend direction that MA Rush also has pointed out. Alongside with the bearish sentiment, if you see it, of volume IQ. Look at the bar on top of volume IQ, this reddish bar. This means also volume IQ, it has its own logic to figuring out what the trend is. Also thinks it's bearish. So many things are lining up here. I don't like where we're at right now. If anything, I would like to see price coming up a bit further, perhaps towards this high volume node there, and then short it. Otherwise, our stop loss would be fairly far away. Risk reward would not be the best. But if you go up a little bit further, this could be a nice, um, short entry trade here, and basically hatching what the our long trade for NQ would do to some degree, at least. Yeah.
definitely. And looking here on volume IQ, I would actually be interested as well to short it if we came up even to right here, because this is a very high volume node. We can see volume IQ is telling us if we crack this level, it's probably going to accelerate upwards. That's this little tier 1 zone. And maybe we're going to wait for the full retracement, but there's always the option to short right here, short one contract. If we break up even higher, we can short another contract, and we still have pretty small risk on something like M2K. We have our stop loss just above the resistance zone right
Yeah.
here. But let's definitely wait and see if there's
Let's
some
put an
sort of
alert there
pullback.
as well for potential short here to see. And of course, we will reevaluate this. So we're not going to put in a limit order right now. We're not going to wait until price gets there. Look at the chart once again, and then potentially place an order for that trade.
Yes,
Okay.
so M2K is kind of pulling down a little bit here. I'm just curious to see the 5 minute really quickly. Remove this drawing.
And while you do
Okay,
this, I'm going to check out some other symbols across the board on my scanning trading view here to see
sure.
what else could be of interest right now.
Similar scenario on the 5 minute. So that high volume node we saw on the 15 minute, just above. And that does also look like a nice zone to short. So we were just talking about on the 15 minute, perhaps starting a little early in on a short if we came up to this high volume node right here. And on the 5 minute chart, that's actually a tier 2 zone. So definitely still interesting. I'm actually going to put our alert a little bit lower so we can be aware. And I'm going to hop over now to some other charts, some other symbols. So we've been looking at some indices on MNQ. Just taking a review here. We wanted to be aware if we pulled back to get this long trade. And the other idea, just make this full screen for everybody.
And Nicholas, the next one I want you to look at is gold, because I think something is setting up there right now.
Sure. Okay, gonna check that out right now. And the other idea here on MNQ was the cross of this zone, but I do think it was much more risk averse and smart to place our alert down here and wait for some sort of pullback. But this is a tier 2 cross. Maybe it's a little bit overbought. None of the indicators are long right now, which isn't the greatest sign. Or 1, 2, 3 strike actually is, but the stop loss is pretty far away, so we can still wait for a retracement. Okay, so I'm going to go over to gold. And this is
And remember what we
MGC.
said, we let the market decide what it wants to do. So if we now cross above this tier 2 zone, then I think, hey, we're going to be bullish, even more bullish on that symbol and potentially enter, not wait for prices to pull back anymore because this may not happen, but enter even before that in the long direction. But let's look at gold first. MGC, a fairly expensive contract. But what do I see here? I mean, to me, once again, looking at the story of the market, just look at how prices have been. What's the pattern here? Well, they're stepping downwards. Now, from this bearish signal there from MA Rush, a beautiful stair stepping pattern downwards. Levels have been respected very nicely. And guess what's happening right now? We have our classic zone break retrace setup as per Liquidity IQ. So we broke support. Let me make this a little bit bigger, Nicholas, so we can see it just a bit perfect. Yeah. So we broke support back, I think, a couple of days ago or whenever that was. Yeah, at this point there. Broke support. Prices initially went down. And now we're coming back up towards this broken support level. And guess what? Once support is broken, it switches its role, its personality. It becomes resistance. And here the idea would be, hey, we're going to short this one as prices go up there. This is a nice high reward, low risk trade because we would put our stop loss, if you want to be very aggressive, just above that resistance level. If you want to give it a bit more space, I would put it above that high volume node, even a bit further up, which could be like a second line of defense, also acting as as resistance right now. So this is something of interest. I would wait a little bit, but Nicholas, what do you think for a potential short scalp here on this gold contract?
Yeah, it's very nice. Yep,
Yeah.
perfect zone break retrace. And if we look here, when we come up to this broken support, not a lot of volume. There's a tier 1 zone here. So as we get up there, it's probably going to accelerate a little bit higher. So this would be something to take into account. I think that's a great idea why you said to look at the high volume node above as probably the ultimate resistance. So, expect it to break through this level a little bit, get in a short, and place our stop even above here.
And you know what would be really cool here, Nicholas, is if perhaps divergence cloud, remember our reversal indicator? And why do I say reversal? It would be a reverse of the short-term uptrend there. If this one would give us an optimized signal for a short, anywhere in there, that I think could be a really nice confirmation of a potential short entry here. So the whole story of the market is you want to go short, okay? And now let's wait for perhaps a signal to actually go short. Let me just see if
Yes. Oops, let me just get rid of these drawings. And on the 15-minute chart, the stop loss on divergence cloud, even though it has a really nice profit factor on the short side, it's a very wide stop for the trade when it's taken. However, the stop loss really isn't that far from price, but I would actually be more curious to see, well, what does it look like on the 5-minute chart? So let me just get rid of some of these signals because then we might be able to catch like a finer tuned short-term signal. an
And I think that
optimized
that makes a
entry.
lot of sense because we want to look for telltale signs that a price are now turning around to the short side again. Some sort of divergence happening at current levels because that could be our trigger. All right, now chances are prices are going to reverse to the downside.
And here, one other thing we can do. So we're getting this. I think it's because we have a lot of indicators on the charts and the market just opened. But we're going to tick this. If you ever have an issue with it calculating, also you can reduce the look back in bars, but it's working fine.
Okay,
So on
so
the
we see
5 minute,
divergence
yeah,
cloud is still long. That's fine. And this worked out really nicely, this long trade, as you can see it there. I want to wait a little bit for it potentially to reverse to the short side. That would be the trifecta. It doesn't mean we will wait until this happens. Sometimes, you have to wait too long. But that would be the perfect scenario, having a short entry signal of divergence cloud, confirming a potential reversal of this bullish correction upwards, and then the bearish leg will continue. So that's gonna be interesting to see. We're gonna keep an eye on this. And Niklas, perhaps just put an alert in there as well. So if prices comes a bit closer to our resist
sure.
broken support level, then maybe you're just gonna take that trade no matter what. Because I do like this technical setup of going short near this level, and we could even scale in, even though this contract is quite expensive. So it's not as cheap as, for example, NQ or some of the currency futures. But I do like this setup. It's quite bearish, classic zone back retrace. Doesn't mean it's gonna work out, but I like the simplicity of it. We are on a downtrend. It's been stair stepping down. The levels have held up, and we're nearing this broken support level now, acting as resistance.
And a pretty good win rate there with the
Yeah.
short signals.
If we get one, yeah, that's right. So that would be ideal. And Nicholas, this is a good question. Can we set alerts for short signals on Divergence Cloud for this symbol? I believe we can, yeah?
Is it possible in the current version? I am not 100% certain. If so, that should be a priority to add. So let me check here. Long trailing stop. We have not added the alerts in for TradingView
Okay.
just yet for the AI versions, but that should be coming
That's
today
that's
or
gonna
tomorrow.
come, guys. Okay, so we're just gonna keep an eye on this manually, but as you know, we our priority was to get the sequence optimized, and then all the bells and whistles, such as alerts, that's going to be coming just a bit later. But for all of those who now have access to the AI version on TradingView, this will be automatically applied to your TradingView account. No installation is needed. All right, so that was that one. I also liked kind of silver, Nichols, if you want to have a quick look at that one as well.
Sure.
Staying with the metals right now to see what's going on with silver. Yeah, micro silver.
And we'll
It's
start
not
on the
as clear
15 minute.
cut. Yeah, it's not as clear cut. It's a bit rangy, but also here we do have our classic zone break retrace setup. You can see it here was support was broken over there. And here the beauty is that the broken support level and the zone of control as per volume IQ, they are basically at the same level. That's also good because that reinforces, at least in my view, this level and strengthens this to act as resistance at that point. So that's a cool one too. And we do have a lot of sellers also in this area. So this could be as well an interesting short trade. Should prices come up a bit further? I wouldn't short it now. I think I like to be patient as a trader, and the session, is scheduled for 90 to 120 minutes. So we do have the luxury of time on our side today. All right.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to check out some other symbols I had ready,
Yeah.
which was micro Bitcoin. So actually, you know what? I'm going to wait to look at micro Bitcoin. The next one is oil. So MCL. Let's make this chart a little bit bigger. So what's happening? I haven't been checking oil recently. Very volatile. It has been in a huge rip upwards from, what was this? This was the low of multiple years, wasn't it? Around here, $54, $55. Since May 8th, it was in an uptrend. It started to find resistance. As it tried to approach 65, around $64, we saw resistance. Recently, it just shifted bearish again. We had a zone break attempt here at this support level, and price came back up. I think oil, to an extent, is following some of the indices, at least in the short term. It seems to be going up when the indices spike up. So we should be aware of that. Let me get volume IQ to recalculate. And Yeah, it's not as nice of a clear-cut zone break retrace as we see on gold and silver, I think. Because we do still have that
Yeah.
look of it being in a bit of an uptrend. And if we hop over to the 30-minute, I would assume that it's still in an uptrend. Let's just wait for MA Rush to calculate. We actually could have just stayed on the same time frame chart. So once MA Rush is finished. Nope, MA Rush is also bearish on the 30-minute, but it definitely looks like this might end up being a higher low, more so
Yeah.
than on MGC.
And this ties into a question from Chris. He was wondering how much do you trust Emmy Rush, or trust, of course, in quotes, on the lower time frames? And does it get clearer on the bigger ones? And yeah, typically things get a bit more confirmed on the bigger ones. But since we're doing day trading here, there's nothing wrong with also looking at the short-term MA rush picture. In the end, I do like to trade with MA rush direction, but I don't enforce it. Sometimes I just like a setup, like in gold, for example. MA rush is bullish, but I feel like this zone break retreat is such a nice setup. Sometimes I even would take that short trade, even if MA rush um, is long, especially since this seems to be just a correction within a longer term downtrend.
Yes, and one you can always do. So I'm on the 5-minute chart here. Usually on the 5-minute chart, don't put much credence. If everything else is lining up, if MA Rush contradicts it, the 5-minute chart can change pretty quickly, even though the indicator is looking at higher time frames. So definitely want MA Rush to be at least on the 15-minute or the 30-minute to keep the bigger picture in mind. So I would switch it here to the 15-minute, and let me just make it a little bit less intense. Okay, turn down the opacity. So here on oil, actually, so we do have that kind of uptrend that seems to be following something like MNQ to a certain extent. So it's not terribly bearish, but look at the win rates here on the profit factor on Divergence Cloud. Obviously a perfect profit factor in both directions and 92% win rate. So something to be aware when you see a number like that, 92% win rate. That sounds great, but it's only over 12 trades. Which isn't the end of the world. We can always check another time frame. But if that's the case, and if TradingView can handle it right now, we can also try increasing the look back to make sure that it gets even more trades in its back test. So now, okay, we've got 40 exits considered, and now that's a little bit more reasonable, 62 and a
And
half.
Nicholas, gold is just testing the zone right now. So we have a quick look over because it's always good to keep an eye on current developments. Let's see what's happening. Gold being testing exactly this broken um, support level, now acting
Let
as
me open it
resistance.
up on our
And
trading chart here. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
and let's double check. So now things come in. We didn't get our short entry signal from Divergence Cloud, I believe, for sure not, because things are just they look quite bullish short term. So these indicators would not fire. But there's two ways to trade this now. First off, look, you can wait. That's the first way to trade. Wait for a confirmation. Maybe a confirmation from Divergence Cloud. Hey, things are looking bearish right now. We are seeing signs of a divergence where things may turn around. That's one way to do it, but then you may get in later. The other way to do it, if you want to just take a shot right now at this level, you just anticipate, hey, I want to get the best possible price. I'm going to get a lot short at this level there right now with a very tight stop loss. So both are possible. And I think, Nicholas, just for the sake of entering into a trade, let's just take a short trade right here. We don't always have the luxury, and make it per limit order, please. That's always a good style to do. And uh, and what I like to do is maybe what you can do, Nicholas, real quick, is to disable the stop loss, the checkbox on the right, because then you can just move it around on the chart. You can see now the little boxes there on the chart where the limit order is. Yeah, move this up a bit above price. Yeah, no, maybe a bit. Yeah, like in the middle of that zone. Perfect. And then what you can do, you move your stop loss to where you think it should be. And you can see right there how much you would be risking. So I think we're going to keep this as a fairly tight trade right at this. You know what? Put it above the zone of control. I still like gold for short. Even it's going to be a bit more expensive than what we normally would risk, but it's just an expensive contract. So put it there, and our target would be perhaps somewhere near the swing low down there. Uh, in the best case, of course, we may close it out earlier. We can always manage it as we getting a fill. All right.
Okay, 1 second.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so our limit order right here, target
Yeah.
down here, and stop up above the tier 2.
Yeah. I'm just entering one contract. It's an expensive contract. And, oftentimes it's important also to, keep your position sizes similar across trades. That's important. But, with the futures, you never know. So really, since we're a bit under the gun here, forcing trades at times, let's keep it at one contract and a fairly wide stop loss and see what's happening. Yeah, I do like the fact that it's coming up there. Giving it room, you're just perhaps above this pivot there.
Yep, I
You
see
know,
it.
yeah, that could be a good stop loss. It's a wide trade, but we'll see what happens. We'll keep it here.
For sure, and good reward to risk. At least, basically, 2 to 1. We're being a little bit conservative on the target.
And there's a question coming in now from Frank from Den Haag. Frank, and he was wondering, are we steering away from trading at all when prices approach a high volume node? Actually, Frank, quite the opposite. In fact, I love to wait for prices to come into that level, like what we have on the silver trade right now, or the silver chart, where if you could just go back, Nicholas, real quick to silver for a second. Yeah, here. Look, what our game plan here was, once this all loads, is that prices comes up towards this broken support level, now acting as resistance. And was it on that chart?
Let me just make sure. I think I have the indicators loaded on another chart. So let me just hop over to that one. So come here, minimize this, and I believe this is silver right here. So let me open that up. There we go.
Yeah, this one. Look at, I love this one. Frank, see this high volume node just above that broken support level? As I said before, this reinforces, at least in my viewpoint, this level, because oftentimes these high volume nodes, they can act as barriers. In this case, it would be a resistance level because price is below it. And it's basically a double checkbox in your favor that prices are potentially bouncing off this level. So I like it when this happens. And to me, these are, stronger trades than just having one barrier there. Right now we're having two. We're having a resistance level there and a high volume node. Yeah. All right, that was this. And there's one more question since we're at it. Who was it? Just 1 second. Where is my Q&A box? Yeah, Doug wants to know, what is this strange looking indicator on the right-hand side with the histogram? This is our volume IQ indicator, Doug, which is one of our latest innovations. We developed it towards the end of last year, and we call it the microscope. Basically, it shows you in a very detailed picture what's going on right now in the market in terms of volume. And you can find these high volume nodes and low volume nodes. You can find imbalances. You can see the market bias with this indicator. And this allows us to fine tune our entries, but also to confirm our story of the market. So it's become invaluable to us. And if you look at our Discord channel, this is an indicator which is in all of our charts, regardless. Okay, perfect. So these were the questions. Nicholas, what are we looking at right now? What's going on?
I've hopped over now to micro natural gas. Just curious to make sure we're not missing something.
News coming out right now.
Yes, at when was it?
10:30. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, 10 minutes. Yeah, coming in 10 minutes. And what is this? Gas. Is this just a report on how natural gas stocks are doing? I'm not sure if it's going to be high importance. It's definitely not marked as a high importance event, but we'll be aware of it.
Yes. I would wait for sure until this news event transpires, but I like the setup. And in fact, I actually called this one out yesterday. I'm doing a special webinar not every Thursday, but every once in a while on Thursdays for our German crowd called Speed Trading, where they only give me 30 minutes, not like 2 hours like we have here, to find some trades. And I called this short trade for natural gas that we saw here, which was it worked out very nicely. Yeah. Also,
awesome. That was yesterday.
Yeah. With some sort of zone break retrace.
And we still have that set up right now. So zone break.
Yeah.
That was a good zone break retrace back there. but there's still an opportunity, perhaps once that news comes out, for another zone break,
And,
retrace if price comes up
and
here.
I like the fact that which indicator says it's the
One,
short
two, three,
signal then.
strike. One,
One
two,
of three
three, strike.
strikes giving us a short signal very nicely. And if you were to follow this short, just look at where the trading stop is. Nicholas, where's the trading stop for this? Can
Right
you
here
see
at
it?
the support level.
Oh yeah. So this actually lines up perfectly. The trading stop as per 1, 2, 3 strike actually matches the resistance level as per liquidity IQ. So what I would do, I would stay on the sidelines a bit for 1, 2, 3 strike because prices are so oftentimes magnetically drawn to these levels. Let's wait a little bit till price comes further up, and once we're closer to it, we're gonna go short there with a great reward to risk ratio. Cool. Chances are prices are going to get up a bit higher. At least it feels like it right now. And if it does, it gives us a better ratio. Yeah, great.
Certainly. And checking on gold, we didn't
Let's
get
take a
our
look.
fill.
Not yet, but we're gonna stay patient on gold. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's probably inbound very shortly. And oddly, it's running up right here. At the same time, it seems like MNQ is also starting to push up a bit more.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah.
check. I think, yeah, we should still look at the
Oh, this
the
would have been such a
range-bound
nice.
nature.
See the idea that we had to go long when it approaches the support level. This was spot on. It went down there, not far enough for our taste, but at least the idea was valid to wait for that pullback towards support and then bet on the fact that prices are going to bounce off that level towards at least the zone of control, which we had there.
Definitely. And it looks like we're going to get our gold fill. I'm going to check out to see some other symbols just to make sure we didn't miss anything interesting. So
I'm
let's
also going to
hop
have
out
a
of
quick look.
here.
And guys, if you have more questions or symbol requests, please put them into the Q&A. This is something we can always do. And hopefully, we're going to get our first fill very soon.
I'm guessing MES is going to look very similar to MNQ on the 15-minute. Actually, it looks like it's grinding higher a lot more clearly than MNQ. Oh, that might
Yeah.
just be a time frame difference. So if we hop over to the 15-minute, no, they look pretty much identical. MES, though, has a tier 2 zone a little bit higher than MNQ relative to current price. If I was going to short any of the indices, I think MES is a much more attractive chart right now than MNQ.
Yeah, because what we're doing right now with these indices, it seems to me like a correction day. It smells like it. Prices are very much range bound, but these are also tradable. What you could do is to just wait for prices to approach any of these boundaries, either the upper one or the lower one, and just bet on the fact that prices are going to bounce off from these levels, especially if they are supported like NQ with technicals, like a high volume node on volume IQ or a support level from liquidity IQ. Now, ideally, in addition to all this, an entry signal with our indicators. Yeah.
So I'm going to try to see on MES. I know on MNQ, the liquidity level was just below price. And geez, the markets must be pretty active today. Or maybe it's my internet, but TradingView is taking a while to calculate things.
Oh, and there's a good question coming in as we looking at things. Somebody wants to know how can we do a multiple chart layout? First off, you need to have the right subscription for it. I think on the cheapest, or cheapest in quotes, the basic subscriptions of TradingView, this may not be possible. But if you have a proper subscription, go to the top right corner. Nicholas, perhaps show this real quick. It's this icon there, right next to the your chart layouts, or go to the squares there.
Yeah,
Next
and
to
first
it.
you'll click Create Layout. It'll make
Oh
a
yeah,
new setup, and then you can set up the divisions.
exactly. Yeah.
And you can also link them. So what we were doing is linking by interval, which makes it so if you have link by interval enabled, we just make sure I do. Yeah, link by interval, whatever time frame you select on one of the charts. Like if I swap to the 1 minute, it's going to change that for all of them. And our favorite tip for TradingView layouts is once you have all, especially for, if you're using our tools, once you have all your indicators set up with your specific settings, number one, you can hide them and show them like this, but just right click on the chart and click apply these indicators to entire layout. And it'll apply all the ones you have. So I only had to apply these 6 indicators or 7 on this one chart. And then I just clicked that button and it put them on all of them. So good thing to be aware of. So on MES, unlike MNQ, if with liquidity IQ on the 30-minute reference time frame, look how far away the nearest liquidity level below price is. So we do have this level here that might hold up, and it kind of did. Price came down and we bounced, roughly off of there. But the next levels are really far away on MES as opposed to MNQ. There hasn't been like a volume significant pivot that liquidity IQ spotted. So that kind of leads or gives credence to the idea that this might have a retracement in store coming up. There's really no support nearby for quite a ways down.
Yeah. Okay, so our next two things, we're going to be looking at is natural gas, see how it reacts to the news coming out in 5 minutes. We are approaching a broken support zone, potentially for a short trade, but we're going to wait until these news come out. And secondly, is we're going to keep an eye on a gold trade to see if we get our first fill, the short gold setup.
What do you think is the correlation with gold and the indices, Daniel? I'm feeling like recently it drops when they go up and it goes up when they go down. Have you noticed that too?
Yeah, it definitely seemed like I think all the indices, they were so bullish for a week, whereas gold has dropped a lot. Now, for many say that gold, this drop is it's just a very technical reaction to the super overextended picture of gold, at least in the longer time frames, that this correction was overdue. It was just a necessity from a technical point of view. So I'm not sure if there's any actual correlation to the fundamentals between these two symbols, but it certainly seems like it that right now these are inverse correlated. And did we get our trade filled? Not yet, huh?
Not
That's
yet,
stubborn,
no.
but we're
I
gonna
think
wait.
it's gonna
We're
fill.
gonna
Yeah.
wait. Yeah. I will never. This is one of my lessons. There's two things, and sometimes I break my own rules. There's two things which I really want to write down and put like a big sticker on my screen is don't chase a trade. I'm gonna patiently wait to get the price that I want, because that makes me feel good about myself and I'm more confident about the trade. And secondly, don't, if things go against you, don't try with all means to rescue this trade by maybe doubling down and putting another short in there and putting another short. You're just going to take that loss. If this one gets stopped out, then be it, instead of trying to rescue it somehow by doubling down and tripling down. So these are my two golden rules. It's not always easy, but it's, I think, in the long run, that's exactly the right thing to do. And having a loss sometimes, it's, first of all, it's important. You have to get used to it as a trader. You will have losses. It's part of the game. And then it's important how you deal with them. Yeah. All right. So that's
Definitely. And here we're waiting. Really nice that we got the limit order right at the support level. We'll see what happens. It would be nice if one of the indicators took a short. Right now, 1, 2, 3 strike is no longer long. It was long and it's taken all of its partial exits. So 1, 2, 3
that's
strike
awesome.
takes partial exits when it has signals that trend might be reversing, because it's meant to trade a trend, and it signals partial exits when it thinks the trend is coming to an end, which I think has a couple conditions. One of the conditions is if there is a particularly high volume bar in the opposite direction. So we can see like on this bar, and a bar that is also larger than the average bar in recent action. So on this bar right here, it's the big red candle relative to other candles, and I think it must have been high volume, took a partial exit. Here, volatility probably started to slow down, took a partial exit. Here as well, and here as well. This might have been a high volume down bar. So maybe that's going to lead into a reversal here. It would be nice to see a signal.
Yeah, don't chase that trade. I know you're still, I'm also tempted right now just to lower my limit or to get my fill. And we may do it just for the sake of it later on, but typically being disciplined is the better advisor. So we're going to wait a bit more, but for sure we do want to take a trade today at some point. So, but let's wait and see for a bit longer.
Yeah, and we don't want to double dip. So I was really tempted to suggest a short on MNQ or MES, particularly MNQ, because it was actually at the tier 2 zone.
If you think they're correlated, right? If not, then I think it's going to be, yeah.
I think they're inversely correlated. So if the indices go down, I think gold's going to go up. So we don't want to be short gold and short the indices. That's kind of like a double loser if it doesn't go the right way. Could be a double winner, but it's double dipping a little bit.
Would it be? Because then one would be short, the other would be short too. And if they're inversely correlated, wouldn't that just be hedging? Anyways, it's too many double negatives in this sentence.
I got confused. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, but I would be okay with that. I think what I wouldn't do is go long NQ and long ES. That's a clear correlation there. That's double dipping, very clear. But if they're different assets, I think this would be not the end of the world. Especially, and now I'm going to say my story once again. Especially if it goes in the kind of the opposite direction. If they're inversely correlated, me going short both, then it's kind of, hedging ourselves,
You're
even
right.
if
Yeah,
they're
it is a hedge. I
correlated.
think I used the wrong term. Instead of double dipping, I mean I didn't want to eat into the profits of one trade with the other.
All right. Okay,
Okay,
perfect.
so let's check this out. So MES and MNQ, similar scenario. They're kind of a lot more range bound than gold.
I
We
do
still have
like
that
it. It's
idea
still a long
here.
trade when it comes down there. Yeah, exactly. So let's wait there. And if we come down to this level, I think we're just going to take a long trade there. A small position sizes to see if we can get a little bit from the markets, playing the bounce of this support level. Maybe support it also with 1 to 3 strike or divergence cloud showing us
Hmm.
a long trade.
Actually got a long trade. What's the deal here? This is on the 15-minute, so that's a super wide stop loss. Let's go to the 5-minute instead. I think there might, oh, there's still a really wide stop loss long trade on 1, 2, 3 strike. Divergence cloud is also long. Both of their stops are basically below this pivot, which I think is fair because there's really not a lot of action there since, when was this? Oh, this was only on Tuesday, but yeah, I do think those are pretty reasonable stops. They're around the pivot. What we would also do is look at volume IQ on something like a 15-minute chart to see if is there anything significant there. No, there's not. So, I think those stop losses on the 5-minute are reasonable as anything we could think of.
And Nicholas, real quick, the news came in for natural gas, and yeah, it was not the greatest reaction of the market, but kind of confirmed what we had in mind that this is a great short setup. Uh, well, a little bit late. This is my timid nature, but trading into the news is also not the best idea. You can be right, but you can be wrong. But in this case, prices went down. I was hoping perhaps to go a bit further up, but this to me looks like a nice short still. Maybe if prices come up a little bit further. I don't think we're going to see a full retracement now to the broken support level, but a little bit more when we are right now, and then maybe short this um, class, well, short this symbol, and yeah, take a short trade. Hopefully,
Yeah,
we're
it's
gonna
losing
get
this
back
tier
up.
2 zone here right
Yeah,
now. 1, 2, 3 strike. Hmm. Way lower long profit factor. A strange long signal there, I guess because the trend was going up and volatility increased, but it's already starting to move away from that. Definitely has a better performance and more trades on the short side, 32. You just see Divergence Cloud. Divergent Cloud was short from a ways back, although I think I might have set it to short only. Nope. And if you're not aware of that, if you have these indicators, hey, if you don't want to take short trades, then why have them on your chart? Unless you want to be aware of them, you could just select long only, and the indicator will optimize to try and only do well on long trades over time. But sometimes in a downtrend, you're sort of fighting the overarching sentiment. So here's short, big
and
short profit factor, big short win
I do
rate.
like this short a lot. It looks very tempting, but it's kind of now kind of feels like chasing that big downwards move. I'd love it to come back up again, and then I think this is definitely going to be a nice short trade off this high volume node with all these short sellers there. Maybe I put the limit order there as well, Nicholas.
At the tier
Uh,
2, right?
yeah, at the tier 2,
I was thinking that. Okay.
and hopefully we're going to get a fill soon.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to look at questions while this is happening. Yeah, if you're wondering for the Power Bundle AI, the 3 indicators, yeah, please send me a note afterwards by email. I'm going to type my email address in here, and we can see how you can get access to them. We do have some offers right now. In fact, we had a big promotion going on this week for our new version of the Power Bundle AI.
What do you think of these orders, Daniel?
Let me
So
just quickly see. Yeah,
entry here,
just
target a little bit below price, just tentative.
yeah,
St
maybe just a bit lower, even just so we get a fill. I mean the limit entry. Yeah. I have a
Oh,
feeling
the
prices are
limit
gonna
entry?
just.
Yeah, sure.
I
A little
feel
bit
I feel
lower.
like prices are gonna, yeah, maybe in the middle of that bar. And it's a very cheap contract. This is a great here. So if it's a cheap contract, I like to scale in, and hopefully we're not gonna miss it. Maybe yeah, towards the middle of this bar for our first entry, and then if prices recover even more, we can scale in the second time.
This bar, Daniel? Like the
Yeah,
red candle, you mean?
yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, and here this is easy reward to risk. So pretty volatile downwards move. However, we're on a 5-minute chart. Um, price has not crossed, price tried to break above this little short-term pivot right here, and it failed right when that news came out or leading up into the news. And that was the highest price has been since, yesterday at 2 p.m. So I think placing a stop a little bit above that pivot is pretty safe. If we cross above there, sentiment is probably changing. And we do have a lot of sellers here. There's a high volume node. These two tier ones right here, I think if we break above this, we might see that full retracement all the way back up to this broken support.
yeah. Oh yeah, and we just get a nice note from Chris. Soybeans just broke below its support level. Let's see, this could be a nice breakout trade. The ticker symbol ZS. Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
Big move down there. Let's see what's happening. We do
And
have a zone break signal on. This is nice on Liquidity IQ and a short entry signal. Didn't I just see this on the 15-minute? I think a
yeah,
short entry
from
signal of
Divergence Cloud.
that's a cool one. I like this one too for a short trade, maybe also per limit order. What is the risk reward ratio there? It's 2.80. Sorry, the win rate is 2.80. Profit factor
Win rate's
45.
45. Yeah, profit factor's 2.85. And on 1, 2, 3 strike, let me just get it to update. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have volatility crusher as well. Oh, volatility crusher's been short since all the way back up here. Still has a target down there. What's its win rates? Not that great on the short side, but let me
Yeah.
get 1, 2, 3 strike to calculate here. You shorten this a little bit.
But I think this one, I mean, for the sake of taking trades, I think this could be an interesting short. Once again, with a very aggressive stop loss nearby. If it doesn't work out, and then be it. Uh, Perhaps here, what I would like to see perhaps is to see how much the recovery will happen there. So maybe instead of entering right now, let's just wait a little bit longer. If that bar which comes back up, I will be decisive because it is an expensive contract. Something to keep in mind. But I do like the fact that this is breaking the zone. Maybe towards the upper end of this area, I'm just going to put our stop loss above the pivot, above that.
This
For
pivot right here.
yeah, exactly. Hmm. Okay.
How do you, where would you like the entry?
No, no, at the zone right now where we're in, like at the upper end of that.
Okay.
Yeah, let's compress up a little bit. Yeah, that's good. Just all right. And our stop loss just above this
Oh, that's
one.
an expensive contract.
It is
I
an
want to see this.
expensive contract, but it's okay. It's it is what it is. Yes.
And I just
Yeah,
want to make sure this still has good reward to risk. If we zoom out, I just want to check the
it is
15
all
minute
over the
chart.
place, and this bounce happened before from exactly this level. So there is definitely a danger there that this may you know, just be a bounce from this level, not a full zone break. But for the sake of taking trade, Rush switched over to bearish. We do have a short entry signal on our power bundle indicators. And
Yep, on the
yeah,
5 minute, and there was a liquidity capture. Okay, so I'll put in the trade.
let's just see. Yeah, we
And
may exit us earlier if we yeah, see this is going against us. For now, we're just gonna put our stop all the way above this level there. But for the sake of taking trades, I think it's an interesting one at least. What is our gold symbol doing?
I think we did not get filled, unfortunately.
It's rounding
Um,
off that level. Do we
but
see any entries of from our power bundle indicators? Because this is actually the picture perfect one. I want to, we have our market structure. We have the story of the market where we may see a bounce of this level. And now it's kind of a waiting game to see if we get a short entry signal from either 1, 2, 3 strike or divergence cloud.
I think we will. I think we're going to get a fill soon because the indices are struggling to hold up.
Yeah.
Let's check maybe on a shorter time frame, which isn't always crazy. Sometimes there's really interesting profit factors and results on shorter time frames, depending on market activity. So here, no short signal from divergence cloud or 1, 2, 3 strike. Price is still grinding up pretty steadily on gold.
Yeah. All right. Let me
And
see if there are questions.
we are coming down into the support zone on MNQ. I don't know. I'm not crazy about the long trade on MNQ. Maybe it's a good idea. Up to you.
I I mean, I think it feels like to me this is it's just rinse and repeat of what happened many times before. Very nice risk and reward. I would do it. Limit entry at the support level, playing the bounce. To me, it seems like a range day. It feels like it. Price is going to go back and forth in that price level. And of
Yeah,
course, I
look,
might be
higher low.
wrong.
We
Yeah,
just missed our alert. Came down and already bounced up 30 points. So maybe let's put in a limit order. On the 5-minute chart, where would you think, Daniel? Down here in the zone on the 5-minute chart?
yeah.
That's a little
Well,
ways
right.
away.
I would just put it below, right at the lower end of this last pivot. The higher,
Right here.
the last one that just formed.
Oh,
Yeah, there,
okay.
somewhere there, I would say. Yeah. Again, this is just playing the pattern on the chart.
Oh, I'm on a 1-minute.
And
My mistake. Let's go to the 15-minute. Oh, okay, that looks more reasonable now. So that's still in the zone. And I would think, yeah, where would you like to put our stop? Below the next pivot or
I
at
mean,
the
I would
pivot
put
in the
below the
zone?
pivot all the way at the lowest one from the day. Yeah, that one. Yeah, maybe a bit lower even. Yeah,
Yep, I'll
just
change
to
it
give
in
it
one
some room.
second. And profit target, logically, we're hoping for it to break the tier two, or you were thinking actually to
I
take
would just
profits
do
at the tier two?
a quick scalp there. I think to me it feels rangy, and if it's rangy, you have to be very conservative with your targets. So just a quick trade.
Sure. And we do have less than 1.0 reward to risk right now.
Yeah. Did we get any fills? Oh, we got a fill now. It's just the limit order being placed. Having a hard time getting our fills today, huh?
Yeah, we still have a lot of orders in this, so let's just make sure we're keeping aware of our orders.
This
So
is
just check our orders right here. Working 12 different orders. Sell, buy. Okay, so we are with orders on all these different symbols. Let's check. MNQ. We still have our soybean futures sim. Oh my God, we got so close to filling that on that last candle. What else
what
do
was
we
that?
have? That was soybean. We have our natural gas shorts idea still in play.
Yeah.
And of course, we also have gold. Let's
Oh,
take a
it's
look at
rounding off.
soybeans.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
soybean, I think we placed the order. Might have been during this bar, but I think it was on the last bar. So the candle, yeah, look, it came right up to our
It's okay. We'll wait.
level and
It's
almost got
good.
filled.
It's good to be patient. You will get annoyed if you get a bad fill, and then um, it's always good to wait. Now, to me, at least in my head, it makes me feel good about this trade. Hey, I showed the market where I want to get filled, not the opposite. I'm in
Yeah, you're
control.
not chasing. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna get the fill that I want. So that's yeah. Are there any symbol requests? Let me see. Okay, so just go back to the Q&A.
Great call there on MNQ. I guess it is a range day until something happens.
Yeah, it feels like I think it's just a slow grinding day. We had the very unspectacular PPI numbers, consumer numbers early on. Things are just hanging out, I guess, until yeah, there's new stimulus. But this is tradable. Yeah. Of course, eventually it will end, and you're gonna get this is not gonna work out anymore. But until then, okay, let's just play the range. Okay. So I'm gonna look at questions. Where's my Zoom?
Follow up on trade of the week, SNEX. Will we do one?
That's on a daily time frame. What happened there? If somebody says trade of the week, probably something terrible happened to that trade. Let me just quickly see on my end too.
Oh, we must have got
Ju-
filled here on MNG. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, we
And
got
then, oh
filled?
no, look how close we came.
Oh,
Very close.
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna check SNEX. Was that the symbol?
Yeah. That to me is just still the zone break retrace setup that we had before. Looks looks great to me. Just getting a good entry. We broke about that level. Nice pullback, and this is for swing trading. Yeah, it's still valid. No news there. We
Okay.
were right in that resistance zone to which we pulled back to, now acting as support. And yeah, looks good to me. So no news on that particular trade.
Oh, here's a daily chart of MNQ. Quite wild looking.
Yeah. That's a nobody expected this V pattern. Yeah. Even the option professor said, hey, this is gonna be just the first leg of a bigger bearish correction. Nope. Classic V, right bouncing back off those lows. And this is not the first time this happens in the indices. I think there's so much stimulus, I guess, from the US politics getting into this that it just, they can't afford having a prolonged downtime in the markets. Classic V. Wow.
Yeah,
But
that's a
there are
huge
some
move.
some say that because of yet so many gaps now moving up, especially if you go to SPY, it's very gappy to the upside, that some of these gaps are likely to get tested in the next couple of days. And for those gaps to get tested, it would mean that we will see a correction. Uh, but when this will happen, it's anybody's guess. Did we get any fill yet, Nicholas? Did I
No.
see a fill somewhere? Oh
Let me
my
check.
goodness.
No, no fills. So let's just review real quick. All the fills, all the limit orders are within about 1 or 2 ticks from being filled at some point in time. So let's check this out. I'm gonna hop over to the five
That
minute
is so
chart.
frustrating. And normally we getting these fills quicker, but someone's telling the market, hey, this is the price I want. Well, the market will not respond to that. So let me see what else we have here. Now
I
my
think everything started to slow down. Like the market was really picking up going into 10 a.m. after the open, but there really hasn't been a lot of movement on any symbol in the past 30 minutes.
yeah.
Just the way it is.
What
Let
happened
me
to
see.
silver? Did we put a trade in there? This also looks quite interesting to me. Right at this zone of control right now, prices, at least in the 5 minutes, and testing the above.
I'm just sorry, Daniel, before I go there, look at the MNG price came up to our limit order, 3.454. The
Oh
high
my
of the
God.
bar was 3.454. So it actually
No,
hit our
that's
fill
so
price, but there wasn't enough liquidity, and then it moved back down so far.
so frustrating.
But it
Yeah.
was a good fill price idea. Okay, silver.
So here we're grinding up towards the zone of control, and just above that is our broken support level now acting as resistance. That's one of these double barrier situations. Look how many sellers are in this area. And
Let me
where's
go to the
liquidity
15 minute.
IQ?
I think
Yeah.
it's still calculating. I think the TradingView servers are a little slow today.
And
Oh,
some
whoops. Actually, I don't have it
and
on.
and I'm just answering. So don't please send me an email if you want to see for our bundle special and so forth. I cannot discuss this in the session. Okay. So please do that.
There we go. That's that tier two zone right at this
Yeah.
level. And there's a ton of volume here just in general, like this
Yeah.
whole range from 32 and a half up to almost 33. A
Yeah.
lot of volume. That's a really nice short opportunity. You get higher.
Exactly. Yeah. I think we're gonna get filled in a second on our soybean beans trade. It seems like it. We're like one tick away or a couple of ticks away. Let's see. Are we? Maybe I got confused. At least it looked on the 5 minute. Looks like it. Is the 15 minute? Oh no, still a bit further
And
out.
it's good to also, yeah, to keep once you've got a limit order in for your trades, too, if you don't get filled at a certain point, you're going to want to cancel it. I'm not saying that for here, but it's also good to keep up to date. Okay, how did the story change since you entered in
Yes.
your trade? And I don't really see much having changed here. So why I was worried for this for a short, and this is something you'll probably see on your own charts, it's a recurring pattern. Let me turn off everything except liquidity IQ. And I remember all of our indicators were also short here, which was nice. But let me turn off everything except liquidity IQ. And what happened here is price dropped down and we saw what is called a liquidity capture, right? Which means that there's a lot of volume flowing in while price is testing a level, a zone. And usually a liquidity capture when price drops down to support is a sign that price is going to bounce upwards. But in this case, there was a liquidity capture on a previous bar, like right here. When was this? Yeah, I think it was on this bar, liquidity capture, and then price continued to go lower. So even though a lot of liquidity came into the market at the level, that liquidity didn't yet cause a bounce. So oftentimes that actually might be a sign that price is going to continue down through the level, since even though a ton of buyers or a ton of sellers came in, the market still says we're going downwards. And you can see this pretty often, a recurring pattern. So like right here, liquidity capture, bounce. Liquidity captures, bounce. But on the current bar, there was a liquidity capture and no bounce just yet. Price actually continued downwards significantly. So I was worried that that was a bullish signal for the short trade, but really it's
And
not
we got our
that
fill.
bullish.
Thank God. First trade open. All right. Fingers crossed it's not going to be one of these crazy reverses of that support zone. It is possible. Um, that's a concern, but let's see if we see a nice follow through from the zone break. That would be yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a zone break on the 5 minute, and I would
There
exit
was,
this
yeah.
trade prematurely if another liquidity capture came in and then price continued upwards
Yeah.
past like these bars. That's when, the story is
Yeah.
changing, but there's no
Yeah,
liquidity
I
capture.
probably we're probably not going to keep it open until all the way to stop loss up there. I just want to have like an emergency stop right there. And now let's see what's going to happen because this is an expansive contract and we don't have the luxury of scaling in with this one. At least
All
not
of
with
the
our.
indicators actually still have their stop loss pretty far away. Maybe
Yeah.
let's move it down to one of them.
I'll keep it there for now. We can manually adjust it.
Okay.
I think it's yeah. I mean that would be the logical stop. You know if what I like to see in my trading is I like to have two lines of defense. So first, some sort of resistance level if I'm short, and maybe another zone of control or a swing high somewhere. So then, if one fails, I still have the other one as a backup, and I like to put my stop at this just past the second line of defense. Of course, you will draw down quite a bit if things go against you, but if you're not oversized with your trade, this is why you should always trade small. This can be yeah, a good idea. And this is why you should trade small because then you have the luxury of perhaps having two lines of defenses for your trade, which hopefully then will act as that barrier to turn things around.
Yeah, and if you scale in small, which
Yeah,
isn't possible really on this contract here, but let's say you're able to afford on a trade like this going in for three contracts, but your line of defense or your stop loss is let's say up here. Well, you can enter in if your plan is to go in for three contracts, just go in for one or two. Wait to see if the trade plays out. And if price does come up near your stop loss but doesn't hit it, like let's say we retrace to here, go in for the rest of your size or take in another contract. That way you have a better average price. Your trade logic is still playing out. You're not stopped out, and you didn't go in, for the whole wagon down when price was far away from your stop. Right now on this stop, two of the indicators got their stops right here. They both, that's a weird profit factor, 558, but really high win rate. So 1, 2, 3
yeah.
strike went short back here. Divergence cloud, not as good of a win rate, but good profit factor. So even though the win rate isn't high, that doesn't matter. It matters, does it play out over time? They both have nice profit factors. Volatility crusher
Yeah.
is also short from way back up at that short bounce. So all the indicators are short. The stop loss is also, that's interesting. Look, they're all almost lining up in the same area. And from volume IQ, that's a high volume node too, and it lines up with that pivot. So a lot of things in our favor for placing a stop loss there, I think.
I like it. Well, is it going to be a winner? We don't know, but it's definitely a good setup to be traded. Yeah, so let's see what happens. The chance that this bounce will that there will be a bounce happen to the upside. Actually, they are considerable high. Why? Because it happened before, and pattern repeat themselves oftentimes in trading. So this is a concern. You see this there, the other swing low there, where things bounce off, and then even before that, you have these big swings after prices made a low. Uh, went to these levels, it is possible. So there's definitely a concern there. But the good news is, should we break through that level, then I think we're going to see a really beautiful follow through. But of course, this may not happen. So
And
let's see
look
what's
at
going
this,
to.
Daniel, too, on the 30-minute.
Yeah,
So price came down, like you said, bounced off multiple times from here. I'm putting liquidity IQ on the 2 hour. Should be finished calculating, hopefully in a couple seconds. But this is also a tier 2 zone. So there's a ton of
yeah.
volume here, a lot of sellers historically. If this gets broken, that's a shift in
Then
control setup. So if this does get significantly broken, it wouldn't be surprising that we go boom, like right down to
it
this next level.
it is definitely a good opportunity. So now the question is, are you willing to risk the chance that the bounce will happen? Because that's significant. But if we, break through it, that could be a significant big move, and this could be a really profitable trade. So that's a trade-off that you will need to decide in your head. But at least now you see what the story of the market is and the potential two next chapters. So if you're comfortable with that, one of the next chapters might be we're going to see the bounce to the upside. Hey, by all means, let's take this trade. And that's what we've done here. We took this trade knowing this and we've taken that risk, but we are aware of this risk and this possibility, and we decide for ourselves it's worthwhile.
Yeah,
All right.
interesting. 1, 2, 3 strike short signal as well on this bar.
Yeah.
On the 30-minute, but the stop loss is very far away. So the stop losses on 1, 2, 3 strike and divergence cloud are partially based on pivots. So if I turn on volume IQ, we can see where does the stop loss get placed for this trade? Really far away. So just be aware that they are based on pivots, and this is just reasonable and conservative trading. You notice like when we're manually trading, we base our stops on pivots a lot of the time in conjunction with other things. That's what we try to do with the indicators. So it
Yeah.
placed its stop here. Why? Because that's a reasonable price. That's a reasonable area price might retrace to. It's a recent pivot high.
Okay, let's look at some other symbols. This one. This is gonna wait and see on this one. Let's hope for the best, of course. And what happened to our short entry there? Yeah, I think we're gonna. You know what we could do here, Nicholas? Just for the sake of, I mean, I like patterns, and this seems to be very rangy. I think one thing that you can do on MNG right now is to play the opposite
MNG or
potentially.
MNQ?
Oh,
MNQ.
MNQ, sorry. The short from that level. If we think the range is going to continue, but you know, not my favorite one because we don't really have a strong technical level, like a resistance level at this area. But this happened before, like 3 or 4 or 5 times, and there's a chance this may happen again. So this
Okay,
could
so
be.
before we do you want to clean house on some of our orders?
Yeah, maybe
So
let's do this and let's wait what's happening on MNQ. Yeah.
sure. Okay, so let's come down here. We have one on MNG. That's number one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we kind of missed the party here a little bit already. Let me just turn
That was
this
such a
off.
good trade. Yeah.
Great
I'm
call. Yeah, almost
yeah.
filled hit
It,
our price.
whatever. Moving on.
Cancel
No
this.
regrets. Let's
Okay,
cancel it for now. We may see it later on, but I think now we're just too far away from that level.
gold.
Gold, yeah, we may still get it. I'll keep it there. But you see
Okay,
how powerful this level is? Price has been struggling with this level. Even though if we may break it, there's definitely some value of knowing this is a very important level there because price been struggling there. And
there's actually
yeah,
two liquidity levels there too. Two lines.
yeah, it's a
Liquidity
big,
IQ.
big level.
Okay, so we'll keep gold on. And the other symbol we have, this is our gold. This is our soybean. I think that's it. Soybean and gold are the only ones open. So let's hop over to MNQ.
Yeah, let's have a look there. And here, honestly, this is just me being discretionary here, playing on the fact that this is going to be the exact same thing again as happened like 3 or 4 times before. For short, hmm. But this is just because we have this live trading session. A bounce off the zone and control with bearish momentum. Yeah. Oh, we just switched to bullish on this last bar.
We are crossing it. Yeah, MA Rush just went bullish. I'm going to check the 15 minutes. So MA Rush on the 15-minute is not even showing signs of being slightly bearish.
Yeah.
Really, it's not having any trouble remaining bullish. And I would wait personally on this one. I know because we're live trading, we're trying to find something we can do. But I would wait on the short for this one to see it struggling with like this block right here. Maybe it's good to get in now, but I would be worried that if this gets crossed to the upside, it's going to take off fast.
Yeah,
What do you think?
exactly. Yep, that's
Although I
um
do, I would like this for a scaling in short. So like one contract now, a stop just at the pivot, and then if we start to struggle with like this region, take another short, expecting we're going to lose the pivots and we're going to like drop off into this
that would be
low volume node.
yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
yeah. I mean, let's do it. It's just one contract. Let's see. Play on this idea. We're gonna bounce off this level again, and it's a very high reward to risk because if it if we go above this level, we're just gonna get out with a very small loss. So it's shorted with a limit order at current price.
second, I've got my drawing tool on, unfortunately. Okay. Like there, geez, that's a tight stop, but hey, it's probably smart to have a tight stop.
Maybe a bit higher than this, above the pivot that we see
Yeah.
on the other side,
Oh,
the
the
V.
li okay, over here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Super small risk, and I'll adjust it in a second.
It's a cheap contract. It's just a little scalp that you may want to consider while we're waiting for some of the other technical setups to pan out.
Yeah, and if
Um,
we look here on the 5 minute, once we start to get above that pivot, that's when we really have cleared the volume. Like there's still high volume up here. Once we start to get above there, then it's kind of clear skies ahead. So I think that's a good spot for a stop loss.
yeah, yeah. If you look at soybeans, it looks, I mean, we'll see what's going to happen. It looks, and see how expensive this contract is. If we lose this level now, and I kind of almost don't want to give away the little profit that we have, because I think if you come back up now towards this level again, I think we're gonna bounce completely. So let's see what's gonna happen there. But I'm actually almost in favor of soon moving our stop loss towards break even, because if we come back up again, I think we're gonna have the bounce that I'm fearful of. Yeah, somewhere there. And let's just see what's happening. If we break below the low point there, the previous low, who knows? We're gonna have this beautiful follow through, but let's see. Definitely yeah, an interesting scenario. I'm just a bit fearful, or actually not fearful. If you're
Aware.
if you're scared, call the police, right? So we're not there, but we should be aware of the possibilities of the next chapter. This next chapter might be a big bounce, and this is something I don't really want to risk,
Yeah,
especially.
and that was with liquidity IQ on the 30 minute. So right now I have it on the 2 hour. We don't see that level, but if we put it on the 30 minute, yeah, we're going to see we're still at that level. Let's see if a liquidity capture came in. There's a ton of volume. What I like about the short right here is on the 15-minute chart.
I like it that all our indicators stay short there. And we have very great win rates, like the signal indicators. That's
Yes.
was my decision maker. I'm gonna take that chance on that particular iffy setup from our market structure point of view, because this bounce happened before. But since we had a beautiful short trade on some of our indicators, hey, let's do it. Yeah.
And now there's a short break from liquidity. Everything is short right now. Short break signal. 1, 2, 3 strike just went short. Is this also a, no, that's just MA rush. But yeah, 1, 2, 3 strike, short back here, high win rate, high profit factor. That's nice. I think a nice spot, unless you want to just keep it open, but a nice time to take profits on something like this is when 1, 2, 3 strike triggers a partial exit. Since we only have one contract, it could be
Yeah.
a wise time to just get in, get out, since we're not planning to hold it all day. Okay,
Yeah.
we must have gotten
It,
filled and then stopped. What happened on MNQ? Oh no, we just
no.
got filled. Okay, so it does look like it's taking off.
Oh yeah. Oh, that would be maybe the reversal point now. See, I was hesitant on this one. I said, hey, this happened so many times before. Let's play it one more time to the short side, see if the bounce will happen. If we lose this level, if he gets stopped out, okay, then once again, it's a trade we chanced. We discussed our the options that can happen, and this is fine. That's exactly what trading is all about, right? You are aware of what can happen, and then you just make a call. And we made our call was here, hey, let's short it in the anticipation that we're going to see another bounce to the lower side. The sideways range will continue. And in this case, it looks like it was the wrong call, but that's fine. That's trading. And now, of course, the story is what should we do next on the symbol? Should we think about perhaps going long if you get stopped out at some point? Maybe. But
I would
that's
like it to see clearing this.
yeah, for sure.
You know,
Not right away. It would not be like a reverse button right now, but yeah, it
I would
would.
actually move our stop a little higher to like right here. No.
That's
I
exactly
know,
what you're
but
not supposed to do.
I know, but I do think that there's still a chance. Like, look, there's a big high volume node.
Yeah.
It's not truly lost until we start to get up to like the last peak of it,
And I do
unless you
feel you. I
want that
also
stop
don't
down.
want to, get stopped out. It's a bad feeling.
Yeah. Want
That's
to check?
exactly what you're not supposed to do.
Do you want me to move the stop back
No, no,
down?
keep it there. It's
It was
fine.
just an arbitrary stop in the first place, based roughly on that pivot. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, a bad thing right now would be to say, okay, let's move our stop all the way above this resistance zone, which
Yeah.
would not be wise. Oh, okay, do we have any questions coming in or simple
Yeah, we probably
requests?
do. I was just so caught up by get some
Says
symbol
liquidity.
requests here. We're gonna do that. Child said we're close to getting filled on MGC. We can have a look at this.
Mm-hmm.
Moshi said, have you heard if NinjaTrader will ever allow traders to trade through TradingView? No, that's probably an impossibility because they have their own platform, Moshi. Somebody wants to know, does your indicator work on NT8 also? If so, the auto trade is part of the NinjaTrader or setting the indicator. You have to create your own auto trading system for NinjaTrader. We don't deliver it with our indicators, but yeah, it's possible. In our master classes, we've shown this how this can be done. But this is something you would need to do on your own. And David from Frankfurt wants to know, does Liquidity IQ look at other time frames regardless of the time frame viewed? Yes, absolutely. So it's a multi-time frame indicator, regardless of what your reference time frame is. It will go based on this reference time frame to higher time frames afterwards. Yeah, absolutely. So it is a higher time frame or multi-time frame indicator, David.
Yep.
Okay.
You can select the reference time frame. By default, it's the chart time frame. Then it looks at 5 time frames, or 4, sorry, higher than the chart at all times. So I'm on a 5-minute chart here. If I select chart, it's going to assume I'm on the 5-minute. It's going to look at something like the 15, 30, 45 hourly, but I could also select the hourly, and then it's going to look at, the 4-hour, the daily, even though I'm on the 5-minute chart.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
so let's check
right.
our open trades. What's going on? So we got filled on gold.
Okay. All right.
That's happening. It's strange that it's going up. This is perfect zone break retrace setup. Look, liquidity capture too. So here we were talking about that before, where liquidity capture usually is supposed to mean bounce if you're planning on a bounce. But if a liquidity capture happens, then price exceeds the level and still breaks it. That's sometimes a sign that the level is actually being regained. So if we have this liquidity capture, then price keeps going higher. That's not really in our favor. So keep that in mind if you ever see that pattern. MNQ, still not hit our stop, and soybeans still coming down a little bit, starting to slow down a tiny bit.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to check the 1 minute.
Who had this tip of soybeans? That was pointed out to us. I think it was you, Chris, wasn't it? All right. Okay, let's have a look at the other trades real quick. What's gold doing? Gold is also one of these contracts where we're playing the bounce, which, it's a reversal trade. So let's see where we at there. One's doing nothing. Okay, just hanging in there. So far, so good.
Slow day.
It is a slow day, yeah. And Chris says, yes, it was you with soybeans. So, Chris, if this trade pans out, kudos to you. Thank you for pointing this one out, that soybeans was just about to break the support level. Thank you. Okay. All right.
Well,
So
that's
if
gold.
gold loses, I mean, gold to me still is bearish, but I think here we just have to have a wide stop loss. It
Mhm.
is what it is. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm just curious. Check the 30-minute chart. Yeah, so a good place for our stop. It's always
Yeah.
good to check higher time frames, but our stop is, no, I would even put it, well, it's at a pivot. That's fine. But it is around a zone of control, which is wise. And
Yeah.
let's see, is everything reversing back upwards? And maybe it should be time to grab profits on soybeans. I wouldn't want to take profits now, but I'm just trying to make sure we close everything off during the session, if
That would
possible.
be the power of scaling in and scaling out. So now we only have one contract, so we can't scale out. Um, I'll just keep it a bit longer, see if we see this big downward slag. Um, this was the idea that we had, so let's keep it. See
Look
if
on
they
the
have the
30-minute here. What a nice setup. Zone break,
yeah,
shifted bearish, tier 2 lost. All of the indicators go short on that bar or the previous bar.
yeah.
So very
It's
interesting.
definitely. Now I love the fact that there everything came together, Chris. So kudos to this for finding this. And
Yes.
once we have our alerts all integrated into the trading view indicators and also the other platforms, then you can actually scan for these ones. Yeah. All
Looks like
right.
we're going to get stopped out on MNQ in a couple milliseconds.
Good call moving that stop further out, Nicholas. Yeah,
My mistake.
I'm kidding. But let's just wait. It is what it is. Um, so that was the biggest gamble to me. I'm well aware that this sideways pattern will not continue endlessly, especially since we didn't have any clear technical levels there. So that's fine if we get
We should
stepped
move our
out.
stop loss up to here.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that
Yes.
one was like, yeah, riskier. And it didn't look like the market was picking a direction at the time. And now it does
Yeah.
look a little bit more bullish. But
I'm
hey,
gonna do a nice 22 hindsight call. Now we should have taken the long trade instead.
yes, whoa, whoops. I accidentally almost moved our stop loss. Is there a lock button for stop losses in TradingView? Let me just click
Not
escape
sure.
to undo this.
But let's just wait. Yeah, what's happening there?
Um,
If soybeans is slowing down, we're also gonna get out of this trade because
mhm.
I do want to at least have this bigger winner there. So we're gonna wait there. What's gonna happen? Um, but I definitely don't want to give it back all the way there. Let's see what's gonna happen here.
Well, let's check, a nice thing to do when you're looking for a quick, precise scalp. What I always like to do is I hop over to a much shorter time frame just so I see what's happening really intraday. Just turn off this glow. So what happened? We had a pretty nice amount of volume. Um, okay, we got stopped out on MNQ. So we had a nice amount of volume relative to the day, coming in right here, just above price. Um, if it regains that, maybe we should just take our profits.
Let's wait a bit longer.
Cool.
We can,
And
yeah. What's gold doing?
gold is
Gold
still
short
chilling.
is it's chilling, but it's chilling in a similar area where we were before. I think for soybeans, I still would like to uh see if you can get this big follow through from this breakout. I mean that was our thesis. It's nice that we had this a little bit. So what we can do now is just observe it closely. If it seems like prices are going to retrace back towards that broken zone, maybe even have a zone break retrace, now we get out of it. But for now, let's just keep it a bit longer. And meanwhile, we're going to look at some symbol requests here.
Yeah, and like you were saying, um, zone break retraces often happen. So I do this a lot in live trading or personal trading. If we catch something like a zone break, price moves quickly in your direction, take your profits. And then if it moves back, you get another opportunity to enter and you didn't leave anything, you didn't let anything go against you.
Yeah, exactly. Chris pointed out a somewhat obscure symbol, FGBM, Euro Bobble Futures Fixed Income. We can take a look at this one. Not sure which time frame you had in mind, Chris. Maybe point this out to us, what that would be. Yeah, but
Okay.
it looks
Check
this
the.
is the 15-minute.
Okay, so whoa. I'm just trying to get a quick read on how it looks longer term. So pretty rangy for the past 2 to 3 months, but it does look like no, it's hard to say. It looks very rangy. Okay, so I'm not going to say direction is a big thing on the 15-minute chart. What
Yeah.
were you thinking though, Chris? Oh, okay. It's breaking above a level, liquidity captures, regaining a support, tier two below. Maybe for a long trade you were thinking, a bounce. And soybeans, I think, is starting to bounce up a little bit.
Yeah, let's close it out. That's fine.
Sure.
This is gonna be our little win for now. So net positive for the day at least so far, which is always a good thing to see. And then let's see what yeah,
Geez, I
our
had to
other
click five clicks there to exit
yeah.
through all those
Yeah, well,
accept windows. There's a way to turn that off, right, Daniel? If anybody else has that,
probably, yeah. I
I
think we
think
gave
it's
away quite a bit
settings.
away from slippage now, but it is what it is. Okay,
Instant
so
order
now
placement. That's it.
we're looking at gold. Yeah, gold. I mean, I think I'm not gonna keep that stop loss all the way there, even though it seems tempting. But this is also one of these things where you are tempted to scale in all the way towards up that zone of control, uh, in the anticipation that hey, we're gonna see prices turn around to the downside. But with gold, the trouble is that it's been so bullish, and everybody knows, hey, it's been bullish. This is just a correction in that bullish trend. So what if that correction is over now? And price is going to continue uh, its bullish run, then of course this short trade will not work.
Yeah, and we're on the 15-minute here. So I moved the stop down just to start for one reason. So volume IQ is really good for finding various reasons to enter or exit things. I put the stop here because this is a sell bias block. So traders are kind of bearish. Probably, if you think about it, like what's the story of the chart? Why does that happen? It's because in the 3-2-20s, people are probably worried we're going to break 3-200 and it starts to sell. Once we start to get above there, you can see this is a sell biased area. It's no longer sell biased, it becomes buy biased and kind of neutral. So we're putting
Yeah.
our stop at least here. If we start to come up to here, there's a good chance buyers are going to start to step in again, driving it up at least to this zone of control. So at least that's a reason to have moved the stop down. Do you have a different thought on stop loss, Daniel?
No, I like it to keep it tightish for this one because I think if gold comes all the way back up, then we may see as well for another one. But this zone break retrace is basically almost invalidated right now. And now the next level, the next line of descent of defense is probably that zone of control up there. But let's
And
see what
43
happens.
strike also just went long with
Yeah,
not that great of a win rate,
but
45%,
still
but
it's wrong.
nice profit
Yeah.
factor. But yeah, like you were saying,
It's almost, I
it's
mean, almost,
invalidated.
let's see what
Yeah,
happens, but I almost would close this out even earlier. If we go above that high of that candle, I'd say then, this just didn't work out. Yeah, it's close out this trade. This
perfect. And
this seems to me it's not working out because I wanted to see that retrace that bounce directly off this level, not waiting too much longer. And it's good to pull your trigger sometimes early.
and
Yeah.
what we spoke about before also happened, which price came up, liquidity capture, no bounce. So liquidity capture and then price keeps going. That's not good from a short perspective. That means a lot of selling happened, yet there were
Yeah.
more buyers than there were sellers, which means it's probably going to go up. Soybean, on the other hand, had the opposite, which is why we stayed in the trade at the time, which was there was a liquidity capture, I think right here. Get my cursor on it. Zone break, and I think that's a liquidity capture right there. It might have been on the 15-minute chart, but there was a liquidity capture and then price continued to go down. So like the inverse of gold. Let's remove this. And I want to check out what's MNQ doing. Yeah, liquidity capture keeps going down, which is why I think, initially took the trade in the first place.
And also our indicators 1 to 3 strike and the Virgin Scott they were short there with great win
Oh,
rates.
yes.
That
Yes.
was actually my thinking. Hey, we have a zone break. I'm aware this zone break could have reversed or did reverse in the past. or I didn't, well, the zone held up, but our indicators were telling me sell, sell, sell. So that was my thinking there. It just pushed me over the edge to do that.
Yeah, and where were they? So on the 15 minute, yeah, they were already short, but on the 5 minute, they had just gone short with really
Yeah.
nice profit factors. Yeah, really high win rates, nice profit factors, divergence cloud as well. Yeah, they
And it's still
both
a good
reached.
setup. I mean, this is I just want to, don't let this trade, if it goes against us, ruin our day with it because it's so expensive. So I was a bit cautious. And this is one more reason, guys, why you should always trade small. Because this decision was something that was driven by primarily by the how much risk was on the table, which is not because you kind of tend to panic and not panic, but tend to be extra cautious, which is sometimes not the best, or oftentimes not the best guide that you can use. So had this been like a small contract on NQ or whatever, or oil, then you wouldn't think twice of just keeping this, letting this one ride.
Yeah, true. Okay, MCL. What were we thinking about MCL earlier? It was a short break retrace that we didn't really
Yeah,
like that much,
I
but
like
it
it.
is
I
playing
like
out.
it. Is any indicators a shortage there on this
Not on
15
the
minute?
5 minute.
Yeah,
They bought this nice reversal. And they've also, um, they bought the reversal down here, divergence cloud and 1, 2, 3 strike, but they've also both almost entirely exited by now with
yeah.
partial exits. 15-minute charts. Oh, we just got a short here on the 15-minute chart actually, from 1, 2, 3 strike with 100% win rate over 15 trades.
I like it. I think that this could be also by limit order. Maybe this is our last trade of today for a short entry by limit order is the best price, and our stop loss just above that broken, about that pivot. Yeah, yeah,
It
exactly above
looks
that.
right at that trailing stop by chance too.
Yeah, let's do it. This is an oil is a contract where you can scale in nicely. It's a cheap contract, and that gives you luxury to scale in, but perhaps even more importantly, scale out too. We didn't have that luxury on our soybeans trade. But yeah, all right. So with this, we have 8 more minutes in this
Good
trading
call.
session. Yeah, good thing we got out
Good
of
call.
gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still think I feel like gold might be turning around, but I just didn't want to wait for that to happen. Okay, let's see if there are questions that are coming in. All right. Chris said this FGBM symbol was a German debt instrument. All right. On the 15-minute chart. What do you see there, Chris, on this particular one? Because zone break retrace and this bearish move overall, but then we broke above that level. So
I think it's a nice bounce long. We come down there. We got two liquidity levels. 1, 2. MA Rush
yeah,
just went bullish. Divergence cloud. What's it up to? Do I have it on short only? No, long and short. 1, 2, 3 strike is long. And
yeah.
another level down here. Yep.
All right. Okay, let's see what our oil trade is doing. And if you have any last minute questions, please let me know. All right, let me see. No questions so far. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, a small winner for the day. It was a very slow day that we saw today. Not many setups that were so compelling. Um, but it is sometimes the way it is. And, at least, oh, it's the soybeans.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Great idea to
we
close out this trade, Nicholas.
oh yeah, yeah. But unfortunately, um, I think that's a good thing to be aware of. So we lost, what was it? Maybe a quarter of the profits just from the slippage because we didn't have this
Yeah,
enabled to instantly place orders. So be aware of that,
yeah.
at
That's all
least
right.
with interactive brokers. But yeah, this one definitely looks like it's gonna play out now, big time.
I like the setup. So this is a zone break confirmed with our indicators also having a short signal. And if I just go back to our slides real quick, and David, when is our next live trading session? We'll see in a couple of weeks probably. And in fact, David, I just wanted to say I have this German live trading session every Thursday, but this actually just ran out. The next one is for June now, but I'll send you a note if you send me a message one that is it's a WH Self-Invest in Germany. But let me quickly go to my slides just to recap what we've done today. Just a second, if I can find my Zoom controls. There we go. Okay, so share my screen. All right. So really, we kind of, with this trade that worked out really nicely, we followed our strategy. We looked at what is the market story in terms of trend, in terms of where the key levels, which was just broken. As you can see, the support was broken. We're hoping for the follow through. And we looked at volume also. And then we were seeing, hey, also, so we are bearish. We want to go short. We're seeing a signal from our, I believe, 1 to 3 strike or divergence cloud indicator, giving us a short signal with a nice win rate. And this, brought everything together, and it's give us the conviction to go short on the zone break, even though we've seen a big bounce at this level before. But this was, enough conviction, at least to us, to go short. And with the other trades that we took, I think what's important is that we discussed both sides of the coin. So, we were anticipating this, but we're also aware that, it may not work out. And then we discuss what is our contingency plan, when will we get out. And I think this is what makes a good trade, that you discuss all the sides and then just make a well-informed decision. That's what trading is all about. And then if it works out, great. If not, well, at least then you checked all the boxes, you did all your homework in quotes. And that's also trading to have losers along the way. All right. Great. With this, if there are no more questions, I think we're going to wrap it up, Nicholas. A modest profit of, I don't know how much, $60 today.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for moving your stock. No, a great. I have to admit the Nasdaq trade was the biggest gamble. Mainly driven by the fact that we wanted to take some more trades, something I probably wouldn't have done otherwise. Gold I liked, but I didn't like the stop loss being so far away for the zone break retrace. And I think there's still a good chance gold will turn around. Just don't want to be in that trade for too long. And then, yeah, soybeans unfortunately was a very expensive contract, so we couldn't scale properly, because this one could have been, and I think will be, a very nice winner if you would have stayed in that trade. All right, guys, with this, the recording will be sent out later on today and posted on our YouTube channel. And if there were any questions which were not answered, please reach out to us via our homepage, tradingindicators.com. Main menu, go to contact, put your questions into the contact form in German or English, and we will answer your questions as soon as we can. And with this, I say thank you, Nicholas, for your great assistance. So it was awesome. It was really fun. I really enjoy these trading sessions. It's so much easier than doing a formal webinar with slides and everything, just looking at charts and discussing them, which is really cool. So thanks, Nicholas, for this. And thank you all, guys, for being here and staying all these 2 hours. And I promise you, we are going to have another trading session very shortly. And of course, the next thing that will come up on our end is our live scanning on Saturday for swing trades. Then we'll have our lunch and learn on Tuesday. And then next week, we also are starting our master classes for the new Power Bundle AI indicator suite. So please look out for the invitations for this. Liz says, a great session. Awesome. Thanks, Liz. I'm glad you liked it. Faya says, thank you. Awesome. Great, guys. I'm very happy you liked it. So with this, trade safe. Have a nice afternoon or morning, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.